Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Dogs Down South. I'm your host, Ted Turner, and it is our normal weekly Dogs Down South podcast, but with a little bit of a curveball. We are kicking off SEC Summer Hot Takes. This will be part two, but let me intro Fish. What's up, man? How are you?
What's up, man? It's good to be here, man.
Good to be here. Nobody knows this, but this is take two. But we're not pros, so
We're getting there.
We're good this time. Yeah, we're good this time. The truth is now we're live on TikTok right now. So if you haven't done so, go follow us over on TikTok, Dogs Down South. I'm going to try as much as possible maneuver around and answer some questions tonight if you have them. And then YouTube, trying to get to 1,000 followers. We're live on YouTube as well. So go follow us on Dogs Down South and click like and follow the podcast over there. And then Facebook, Dogs Down South. Go hit us up. Drop a like and follow on TikTok. We're trying to get to 10,000 followers on TikTok. We're going to get there. I know we are. But, Fish, let's hop right in. First off, man, how have you been? How's your summer going so far?
It's going good
Any
so
new
far,
things
man.
going on?
We're not sweating to death down here.
Come on.
It hasn't quite been as hot as it normally is down here in South Georgia.
Okay.
So that's a good thing.
That's a plus. Man, you guys are getting as much weather and rain there as we're getting down here in Florida, right?
So much rain, man. But I like it because it's keeping things cool. I like it. Don't hate it. Not at all. In fact, I was at the beach today, and it was nice and overcast all day. It was fun.
Yeah. That's good stuff, man. Hey, if you're joining over on TikTok, welcome in. We're going to hop right in, Fish. SEC Summer Hot Takes. If you haven't done so tonight, go follow us on Apple Podcasts as well. That's where we're at if you're not catching us live 24 hours later. And I did a take on every team in the SEC, and you're probably like, all right, Ted, obviously this is a Georgia Bulldogs podcast.
Oh, yeah.
What are you
Georgia's
guys doing?
#1.
Right. We're picking on other teams. No, we're just trying to shake it up a little bit. We usually talk about Georgia from like end of July to Lord willing end of January, right? So it's nice to break it up a little bit, kind of talk about the competition, what we think is going on. We've been doing this a little bit, Fish, but we don't know it all, but we know a little. And so you may agree, you may disagree, but so let's hop in, man. Florida, DJ Lagway. I'm going to hop right in. My hot take on Florida was DJ Lagway, and what happens if DJ Lagway is not healthy this year? We knew in spring that he hit some roller coaster bumps with some health things going on from some off-season things going on, and then the summer we've heard he's been kind of kept out of some things. And if DJ Lagway is not healthy, like what is this for Florida and Billy Napier?
Oh, there's no sub. There's nobody behind him that can do what he can do. Like, that's Florida's whole year right there. So if he's not okay, then neither is Florida.
And that's not good for. I mean, we called for Napier last year, and I don't think we want Napier out. I just think we just think that like what's going on, because we know Napier can recruit, but like, can he coach? And Lagway might have brought him out of that a little bit last year because of his talent level. I mean, we know he can recruit. He went to Texas and got DJ Lagway, and you got to wonder, like, how does DJ Lagway get out of Texas? There was some money involved, obviously.
They were all up at the Georgia game too, because I'm sorry, I didn't mean to speak earlier.
No, you're good.
But if he doesn't get hurt in the Georgia game last year, what did we win the SEC? Like, that's how crucial he is to their season.
Yeah.
And their success.
Yeah. I mean, Jaden Ball, I thought he looked great at running back. I thought their line play was improved last year. I thought they made some improvements on defensive line, but they did lose some stuff. But Napier's a good recruiter, and Florida's given him some money to work with, and he's done that. And they replaced their defensive coordinator. Defense looked a lot better last year. But you just got to wonder, like, especially for Florida fans, like, what does that look like? What does it look like for DJ Lagway not to be in there? I know we looked last year at Rod Robinson, and we were like, when are we going to see Rod Robinson back? And this turf toe injury. I don't know what the injury is. But
how does that nag you for a whole season?
Like what is it? Like, we didn't think that was going to be something that was year long. But, Lagway, a lot of his game is that multi-dimensional, throw and run the football type stuff. And, like, I don't know. It's definitely something to look out for, because I think this year, this is already going to be a little bit of a tough year for Florida. I'm pulling up their schedule right now. The first thing that was really humorous, and I always say that we're trying to be non-biased and just be truthful, but they open up against Long Island. I didn't know Long Island had a football team. I don't know how much they're paying Long Island. Maybe Long Island will get a little bit better known. Heck, for all we know, Long
Come
Island
take this
might
butt whooping. We'll give you a couple mil.
they might actually get like uniforms after Florida pays them for that game or something. I'm not trying to be that guy, bro, but I thought that it was a glitch. I'm like, this schedule's not right. Long Island and Gainesville. But here's my thing, man. I think South Florida and Gainesville, I think South Florida's tricky because of the offense up there with the old Tennessee offensive coordinator. I think LSU and Baton Rouge is tough. I think Miami with our friend Carson Beck at the helm.
My God.
I mean, some people can look and go, with DJ Lagway, this is going to be tough because if you slip up against, even if you're 2-2 going into the bye, it's daunting after that. You go into the bye, you get Texas and Gainesville, then you go to College Station, and then you got Georgia and Jacksonville, Ole Miss still in Tennessee and Gainesville. It's just some rough terrain. So with DJ Lagway, we were thinking 7-8 wins maybe, and that would be a good season for Florida, right?
Yeah.
Without DJ Lagway, man, this could be a team that doesn't even make a bowl. And if you don't make a bowl, you got to think with as much money and as much recruiting that everybody's going to pull the cover off of Billy Napier and go, can he really coach, right?
He's going to have to if he doesn't have Lagway this year. We're going to find out a lot about his ability to pivot,
Right.
Because that's the guy. That's their whole offense, at least. The defense, I think, will be okay without him. But,
right.
Of course, because he's quarterback. So
I agree.
Yeah.
So
it's scary for Florida.
We're both agreeing that, like, I haven't heard anything. If anybody hops in over on the TikTok area, make sure you share the live, please, and go and like and follow the live on TikTok. But if I got any Florida fans, I would love to know what you guys have going on with DJ Lagway that are joining in. Tell your friends to join over here and let us know, because I'd like to know. Yeah, you can Google it. Everybody has that whole, my brother's cousin's sister's brother goes to school with his little nephew, and they say DJ Lagway is going to be fine. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, what if he is, he is. But on a scale of 1 to 10, Florida fans, how comfortable are you in your season coming up, given the state of everything right now?
Exactly.
Is he okay? Is he not okay?
Exactly. Let's hop into Kentucky. I did a hot take on Kentucky, man, and as well as I know, you always give me a hard time because I give Bob. I give Stoops. It ain't Bob Stoops. It's Mark Stoops. Yeah, from Kentucky. Yeah. I give him a hard time, man, because I think he's been one of those coaches for so long that can do so little with so much. Right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's he's put him on the map, but that's about it. Last year, I'm kind of I thought was going to be a turnaround year, or a year that they were going to have some success. Because they had Pops swap, transfer over, and Vandegrift, and Vandegrift retired. So Vandegrift obviously has something going on. With his mentals, something's going on. He retired. Out of college. You don't see that every day.
Yeah, and I like Brock, man, but you can kind of get a dial in on why maybe he never saw the helm at Georgia. Maybe
Kirby knows. Kirby knows. As much as I wanted to see him play, during Stetson's first year, I was that guy who was anti-Stetson the whole first season, his whole first year starting. I was like, no, this guy is not the guy.
Right.
And I was what's Kirby doing?
Yeah, I agree. And so my hot take for Kentucky fans, if anybody slides by, or I'll make sure that we maybe clip this out, is that I don't know if Stoops can get an SEC win this year. I really don't. This is going to be one of his worst teams that he's fielded in a long time. So the talent is not there this year like it has been in previous years. So as we talked about him doing the least with the most, this year he's going to be trying to do the most with the least. And I'm going to be honest with you. If he does the most with the least, I'm just going to throw my hands up and go, I don't understand Mark Stoops.
I'm going to buy you a Kentucky hat and mail it to you.
Maybe I'll wear it right on here, man. Count it out right now. If Mark Stoops wins if he goes to a bowl, I'm going to wear a Kentucky hat at some point in time. I called it on this show. If he's 6 wins and goes to a bowl, I'll wear a Kentucky hat. Because I don't think it's going to happen, man. I mean, as I look at Kentucky, I see Toledo. Maybe they can get Toledo. I don't know. It's in Lexington. Ole Miss in Lexington, I think that's a loss. Eastern Michigan, maybe they can get Eastern Michigan. I don't know. Thank God they have a bye there. Then you got South Carolina and Columbia, Georgia and Athens, Texas, Tennessee, Auburn, Florida. Tennessee Tech's a win. And then Vanderbilt. I mean, I see 3 or 4 wins there, and I really would have to tell you that it would have to be really bad. I mean, Tennessee would have to be worse than expected this year, even if losing Nico, to be able to give Kentucky those wins. And my thing is if that does happen, when we go into what a lot of hot takes are for the summer from some of the sports writers is that the SEC is not going to lose any coaches this year. And I just can't see that happening, man. Like, not this year, not 2 years in a row. I know NIL and portal money is very, buyouts are huge, but how do you keep Stoops around in Kentucky? I mean, they got a good baseball team this year. They had a good basketball team this year. And the main culprit of what should be making the dollars and cents around that place is going to have a year where he has 0 wins in the SEC and survives. What do you survive on?
Very underwhelming. No, he doesn't. If they go 3-9 or 3-8, whatever, then there's no way.
Yeah,
there's no way he survives. No way.
If he does, then the absolute stupid thing would be to be looking at Kentucky the following year, and then he maybe go 6-6 or 5-7, and then they get rid of him, and it's like, we would have called their bluff and said, oh, so you're waiting on buyout money. I get it, but teams have to be very careful about what they're doing with their buyout money nowadays, because I get it, but I talked about it and everybody's going to hear it. I talked about it on the hot take. It's like, is it worth entire years of revenue and SEC play, and how long does it take to get a program back from those detrimental hits? Like, just buy him out.
Texas A&M.
Yeah, just buy him out and move on. I mean, we all thought Texas A&M was crazy, and they may be right now, because you remember we're probably still in Texas A&M still paying Jimbo right now.
Yeah,
maybe.
Jimbo's sitting on a yacht somewhere chilling,
right?
just collecting without all the stress.
Still getting Texas A&M money. Like, his Texas A&M materials have been long into dress bins all over the Goodwills and the Salvation Armies all across America. There's people wearing Jimbo's clothes right now that's been wearing them for 5 or 6 years, and man's still making a paycheck off of them. And he gave all their clothes away. It's crazy, man. And that was before portal and NIL. So that's my hot take on Kentucky, man. And I don't know, man. Kentucky's gonna be it's gonna be tough for them this year, man. Really tough year. Moving on, Auburn. I know this is a touchy topic for you, but this is actually a good hot take. It's not really a bad one. I know this is not actually my hot take that I had on the show the other night. It was my hot take on the show actually was that I think Deuce Knight is a little bit underrated, and I think that if Jackson Arnold can't find it, I don't think it's going to take long for Deuce Knight to break into that lineup if Jackson Arnold flops, because I think Deuce Knight is very, very, very similar to Cam Newton when he came into Auburn. He's got the build, he's got the dynamic of the playmaking, he's got the arm. He's just a guy that kind of brings some life. Now, Jackson Arnold is supposed to do that this year, and we're going to see, but there's a lot riding on this year. And I think Auburn's done a really good job of recruiting this year. I think that Cam Coleman, which is what we're going to talk about, is going to be an elite
wide receiver in the SEC.
Yeah, man. He's going to be a great wide receiver for Auburn. You got Jackson Arnold. You got the pieces, the defense around it. But the question is, and I'll ask you this, like, is Cam Coleman with Jackson Arnold now the new alpha? Is he the alpha at wide receiver? I mean, I like Ryan Williams, but, Ryan Williams has some I heard on another podcast that it really made me think about Ryan Williams, not to change the subject, but, Ryan Williams, when the game was on the line in a lot of those games last year, besides Georgia and Vanderbilt, he was nowhere to be found. Michigan game, right? They lose the Michigan Bowl game. He has 8 receiving yards. He plays against some of these losses. Oklahoma, 58 yards receiving, but they lost. So it starts to make you scratch your head and go, where was Ryan Williams in the last 6 games of the year? And that's why I look at Cam Coleman and I go, I got to give Cam Coleman a little bit of a buyout on that because they've been fighting quarterbacks, man, fighting
Yep.
quarterbacks for the last 2 or 3 years. They finally got somebody, maybe two, that can get him the ball. Like, does this make Cam Coleman like a possibility to be the alpha in the SEC this year?
Yeah. Well, Jalen Williams, I think, could be a one-trick pony, man. Because how much of that was Jalen Milroe just throwing the ball up? Because Jalen Milroe's deep ball accuracy was unmatched. That man could throw a deep ball. It was everything else that was his deal. I think if Jackson Arnold is just a little good, I think Cam Coleman and him will have a good year. They'll do a lot of good things this year. Cam Coleman's unreal.
I like
That dude
Cam
is
Coleman,
good.
man.
He's a baller.
I did this like 2 years ago, man, but I am high on Auburn, and we haven't done our preview over the summer yet. We're going to get to it, but I'm really high on Auburn. I think they've done a great job of recruiting. But it sets them up for extreme failure or extreme progress because Hugh Freeze can't handle. I mean, he's not going to have the excuse of I didn't have a quarterback, and not going to have the excuse of I didn't have a running game, an offensive line, and parts of the defense. I mean, they spent a lot of money. They've done well in the portal. They did well in recruiting this year. They got some big time players. I mean, that's why I'm telling you it could be Deuce Knight, right? Like they spent a lot of money on him, and that could be his. But you're going to have to go to that cupboard early because they're not going to let him use that as an excuse if he doesn't go to the cupboard. Because we all know Jackson Arnold was the guy in Oklahoma. But in my opinion,
they got the receivers too.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse. It's not like they don't have talent. I can't believe Cam Coleman didn't transfer. I would love to know what his NIL is.
I selfishly was hoping he would transfer to.
Me too. I wanted
Georgia.
him in Athens, dude. I wanted him in Athens really bad. I just knew he was going to transfer. Could not believe he didn't.
Yeah. I like Cam Coleman, man. I do think that Cam Coleman, and we got a lot of guys out there that, including your wife, Joe Lamb, Tim Estes, a lot of these Auburn fans out here, man, Jonathan Estes. This is me being, I mean, you're going to see it here in a minute. I like Auburn this year, man. I like Cam Coleman. I even like Jackson Arnold. I'm just telling you the truth. I told you we would be unbiased when we got into the SEC. I kind of listened around to Jackson Arnold. We texted in our group chat about it. I was like, Jackson Arnold coming to Georgia? Like what? But it shows a lot of what Kirby thinks of Gunner. And we're going to get on that very soon as well. But our last take for me, let's hop to Alabama one. Quarterback situation, because we were just talking about Ryan Williams. Quarterback situation. What do we know? So sounds like Ty Simpson is going to be the guy, right? The Ryan Grubb marriage with Ty Simpson. I don't know if this is the style quarterback that Ryan Grubb is used to, but for me, I like what you said about the deep ball with Milroe. But to me, any quarterback at Alabama but Milroe right now is going to help that program in the offensive categories move forward, and I just can't tell you why. Maybe it was because the offenses didn't mesh well. Maybe it was because the coordinator last year was not, I think maybe Kalen DeBoer thought that Grubb was coming the year before, and it would have been a good time to know that sooner than later because the guy they had last year just couldn't do anything to get Milroe in a good spot to be able to produce. But, he reminds me a little bit of like a Mac Jones. Remember the Mac Jones year at Alabama where everybody was like, "Who's
oh my
Mac
God,
Jones?"
that COVID year.
Right.
That COVID year where they broke all kinds of records.
Reminds me kind of that year. Like you don't really know much about Ty Simpson, 6'2", 215, Martin, Tennessee. He ain't even from the area of Alabama. He's thrown 50 passes total in 3 seasons. I mean, 3 seasons at Alabama though. So he's been there. He's done the time. He's 100% roll tide. Is this a prototypical Ryan Grubb quarterback? No. But it could be this Mac Jones type deal, right? And so my thing is I even have Ryan Williams picked to take a step forward this year with anybody but Milroe throwing to him. Anybody. It could be the water boy, and I think he'll take a step forward.
Can you believe Milroe got drafted before Shador? If you put their numbers next to each other, Jalen Milroe's lucky he got drafted. Why did he get drafted?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
really, and Shador went late round, like what, fifth, sixth round to Cleveland?
a lot of shenanigans around Shador, man. I've heard so many, like, I guess we're using this word a lot. I guess we're using the word a lot, but at the end of the day, I think hot take on Shador is there was a lot more behind the scenes with his interview, and I think it had a lot less to do with throwing the football, running the football, putting a helmet on, and playing football. I think there was some
Yeah.
personality, some interview stuff there, some things you're scared about because you're not only coaching Shador, you're coaching his daddy, which is Dion,
And what rookie who wants to get drafted, who wants to go play at the next level, doesn't bother to show up for pro day or the combine?
yeah,
Red flag, red flag. Go to at least one. Like, you don't want to go to the combine? Cool. A lot of people don't, but the people that don't are at pro days.
I still can't believe that he's getting a lot of talk with Dylan Gabriel going before him because that just automatically says in my mind they're not sold. He fell to them, but he's still going to be. I mean, you could be reading very soon, within the next month and a half, that Shador gets cut from the Browns. Like, they're not going to carry the amount of quarterbacks they have now, and they didn't get Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel has to flop to not be the guy above him. I could be wrong, maybe, because they could be thinking, but Shador was there when Dylan Gabriel was there. That's the tricky part. It's like he was there, so it ain't like they just didn't get their guy, and then all of a sudden their guy drops to him. No, they skipped that guy and then got another guy. So wild, man. Hot take on Georgia before we hop into our little one game that could be overlooked to affect the season this year from every SEC team. Lot of questions right now that are sleeper questions for a lot of Georgia fans. A lot of them are: do we get a run game this year?
God, I hope so.
I've heard Kirby is. I don't think this is true, but Kirby losing sleep over the O-line. My hot take, though, go check it out tonight once it drops on Apple Podcast, is that is possibly that Stetson and Gunner remind me a lot of each other. Very similar game styles, scrappy players, above average arm, good wheels. They're dogs. You know, do you agree? Disagree?
The man's name is Gunner. Okay, he has to be all right. He has to be okay, given just his name alone.
Yeah.
I mean, really. And I like what I saw. You know, in the games in the playing time he got last year, he's gutsy.
Yeah.
He's hard nosed. He's not afraid to take a lick. We saw that in the SEC championship game. We don't win that game if it's not for him. And his ability to manage the ball. Yes, game managing last year. Yes. Maybe this year he takes a step forward and we see some playmaking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I love how everybody's playing it off on that Notre Dame game, but it's like, dude, I don't know about if anybody remembers, but there were people like Arch Manning who's just can't be not talked about this year, who went into some games against a lot of players, a lot of teams last year, and he wasn't exactly just sharp. As a matter of fact, he didn't throw the ball a whole lot. He just ran the ball. And now Gunner had to come in and do an entire game plan against a team that went to the national championship. So
with a distracted head coach.
Yeah.
Let's not forget the sad tragedy that happened, you know, right before the game or right during the game, after, whenever it was. Kirby was distracted. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
I don't care how professional you are. I don't care who you are.
Right.
That's his father. You know, that's his dad. That's his main man. That's his number one. That's his best friend.
No, that's good, man. That's really, really good. I throw that hot take out as we're not going to dive too much into do we get a run game this year, because I think we need to really elaborate on what that looks like with the offensive line play, and we'll do that during the preview. But I did want to elaborate that the hot take was I do think that it could be a sneaky year for Gunner, kind of like a sneaky good year for Stetson those 2 years. He's flying under the radar. They've given him some wide receivers. They've given him some backs. I love our backs this year.
I'm glad we went and got depth in the portal too. I really am, because you never know. Last year we were stuck.
Right.
We were stuck with no depth because Rod and Broderick were hurt, went down, were just unheard of the whole year, and we were expecting them to carry the load.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. let's hop in, Fish, to this. So we're gonna have a little fun with this. We're gonna pick one game that could be overlooked or affected this season the most. That is non-rival. So if I'm Georgia, I can't pick Florida. If I'm Alabama, I can't pick Auburn, because we all know that we want to win that game. There's multiple rival games in there. I tried as much as possible to stay away from rivals. Although you're going to look at a couple of these, and there is a rival in there, but I think you got to talk about it, because I don't know about you, but do you consider Auburn to be Georgia's biggest rival? I mean, I still think, regardless of what you say, man, it's Georgia Tech. I mean, to me, and the rivalry's back with Georgia Tech, right?
Yeah.
But it could be overlooked for a few years because Tech give us no choice but to overlook it, right?
Listen, that Auburn game's placement on our schedule
Is doomsday.
is yes. Oh my God, it's right in the middle of Florida and Alabama, and then we got to go to Auburn. That's a road game, and Jordan Hare, if it's a night game especially, could be ugly. It could be. I'm not saying it will be. I fully expect Georgia to win. I'll pick Georgia to win. 10 times out of 10.
Right.
But crazy things happen on the plains at night.
Yeah. If Lord willing, I'm supposed to be at that game this year, so we will see. I don't know if I want to go or not, man. The last time I went, when we went there, thank God for Brock Bowers. That's all I'm going to say, because it could have been an ending where I've now only been there once, and I was able to make that walk with pride, and I don't want to make that walk with having to find the nearest Uber and pray to God that I get out of there quick enough.
Auburn fans are nice, man. They'll call you an Uber. They'll call you an Uber, and they'll put you in the car, and they'll say War Eagle as you're riding off. They'll be fine. Auburn fans are great. Not gonna lie.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree. So let's hop in, man. Alabama. We're going in alphabetical order. Alabama. We're going to move this pretty quick. Keep it pretty tight. 30, 45 minutes tonight. Not 30, but 45 minutes tonight. So let's hop in Alabama. So, crazily enough, my pick for Alabama, and you may have a different one, Fish. I know you had these a little bit ahead of time, but I personally think the Florida State game is a game for Alabama that would be detrimental to lose, and I'll tell you why. It's because It's because how in the world, if they lose to Florida State, they'll get Louisiana Monroe, but then they'll get Wisconsin, who's not a gimme, and then they'll get an open game in Georgia, right? So Alabama has a pretty rough first 3 or 4 game slate. Nothing they're used to, right? Because in years past, it's like Alabama don't play a real game until like game 6 of the year, right? So when I look at this and I go into the season and I'm like Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina will be rough. But then you get LSU, Oklahoma, and they end up at the end of the year with Eastern Illinois, Auburn, and Auburn as that Auburn. I just think right out the bat, man, if Alabama loses that first game, how do they recover? Like, how does Alabama? This is the first year that Alabama, I feel like, has played a game that's worth noting in the first game of the year. What do you think?
I completely agree, dude. You can't lose that Florida State game, because we don't know what to expect really fully from Florida State. We don't know what we're going to get this year, because they just the bottom fell out last year for them. You can't go down to a team like that, because right now Florida State is at the bottom.
Right.
And Alabama wants to be at the top. And if they go in and they lose that game, man, I don't know. That's a serious, serious pothole for their schedule.
Right. And Norville, man, he is pumping this game. He's pumping this game because he has to. This has to be a different season for Florida State this year after the playoff run, the abysmal season last year, and the pieces they've had. Gus Malzahn, the Tide slaying offensive coordinator Gus Malzahn at Florida State. This is trap game 1 for me for Alabama, and so I think it's going to be tough. I think it is neutral site game, if I'm not mistaken. That is, I'm so sorry, Alabama. No, that's in Tallahassee, man. It's in Tallahassee.
Florida State.
Yeah, it's going to be rough, man. Going to be rough. Moving on. Arkansas. my hot take on Arkansas. I'm not going to give away all my hot takes, so you can go and listen to them, but it has a lot to do. I'll give my hint. It has a lot to do with the first 5 games of this schedule. The reason why is because I think Arkansas State is incredibly improved with Butch Jones, the Tennessee Hustler. I don't even know if that's his nickname. I just came with that right now. Ole Miss in Oxford, Memphis, much improved Memphis team. I like this Memphis team, and you got to play Memphis third game, and you got to play Memphis at Memphis. And then you got to come home play Notre Dame. Could Sam Pittman not be there by the open week? It's up in the air, but that's why I have this Memphis game as the trap game, and I'll tell you why. It's because let's just say he does squeak out. And I do think it'll be a squeak out with Arkansas State. I think they're good. It'll be a rivalry. It'll be in Little Rock, Butch Jones. I think he doesn't beat Ole Miss in Oxford. And if you lose to Memphis, I don't think you're going to beat Notre Dame. 2-5. I mean, 2-3 is, I think it's time. I mean, 1-4, he doesn't make it to the open week. 2-3, they're flipping a coin. Any other game on their schedule that you would disagree with? I like Memphis because it's also not a rival game. Yeah. I think the first 5 games are key for Arkansas.
Big time.
Taylor Green, Bobby Petrino. I think they'll be comfortable giving the helm to Petrino to be the guy. If they have to get rid of Pittman during the year, they may show him their respect and not. But if it gets ugly, I don't think they have a choice.
No, I know, and I hate that because I'm a Sam Pittman fan. Mm-hmm. I really am. But yeah, that Memphis game is going to be crucial for sure. I 100% agree with you.
I think Sam should have stayed in Georgia. I like Sam in Georgia.
Oh God, I wish he did because then we wouldn't be worried about our O-line at all. Kirby would be sleeping sound on his sleep number bed. Like, he wouldn't be losing any sleep.
I totally agree. Moving on, Auburn. You may have a different one, but I got Oklahoma in Norman. I'll tell you why I got Oklahoma in Norman. It's because Baylor in Waco is a Friday night game to open up the entire college football season. Tricky game. Dave Aranda at Baylor. Friday night game, first game of the season. It may not be the first game of the college football season. I'm sure there's a Thursday night game. It's always some, I don't know, week 0 stuff going on as well, so I could be wrong. But let's just say the first big game to open up the big week of college football is now moved to a Friday night game under the lights in front of a huge TV crowd now, nobody to compete with. And I think if you lose that game, Ball State's doable, South Alabama's doable, but you go 2-2, then you got to go to College Station, right? Then you get an off week, and you got Georgia, Missouri. It could go downhill very quickly for Auburn right there. So I think
very quickly. Once
again, I think Norman, Oklahoma's going to be much improved this year. John Mateer, Washington State, OC coming over. A lot of stuff added to their offense to match Brent Venables' defense. I think the only thing that's going to keep Oklahoma back this year is their schedule, but. Any other game you see on there that might be a little bit more of a stumper to you? I mean, I contemplated a little bit with that Kentucky Vanderbilt back-to-back thing, right? It's always notorious Auburn somewhere in there to like just have a blunder, right? I mean, Vanderbilt came to Auburn last year and beat them, right?
Well, that's why Hugh Freeze is there. Hopefully, their hope is for him to not, to coach himself out of blunders to prevent that from happening.
Right.
Because, we used to have stuff like that happen at Georgia. I love Mark Richt, but we would lose games. That was our biggest thing, is we were losing games we weren't supposed to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And so we got Kirby, and that's a thing of the past now. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Because that can kill a season. That can bring a good season to a screeching halt if you lose one of those games that you're supposed to win. Like, at the beginning of the year, like when we're doing what we're doing, when we're looking through the schedule, we're looking for games, like, oh, that's a win. That's a win. That's a win. But, you lose one or two of those games.
Yeah.
That's your season.
Yeah. And these are games that we just go, watch out. This is it's not just a bump in the road, but it's like it could be detrimental to the time of when it happens. In my opinion, for mindset for the rest of the year with one of these games, for these games we're talking about, first game out of the box, for these games that are first 5 games of the year where these coaches are maybe on hot seats that nobody's really advertising. I mean, we haven't seen an SEC coach go this past year. That was unheard of. Obviously, a lot of difference in the NIL and money going elsewhere, so that's probably why. But I don't think you can continue to sit on poor leadership. You got to make a change somewhere. I think it might be there. But I got Oklahoma and Norman. Moving on, Florida. Man, I struggle with this one. I struggle with this one big. But let me see if you agree. I wanted to pick Miami for selfish reasons because, if I'm going to root for Florida ever this year, it will be against Miami.
I want them to beat Miami's butt. Yeah.
Right. So if I ever want to root for us, this was tough, but I didn't. I was smart about this, and I picked Texas A&M because I think when you look at Long Island, South Florida, I just don't know if they can go to Baton Rouge and beat LSU. If they beat Miami, great, 3-1. But Texas, it's all on Lagway, right? Texas, I don't think can be beaten. I don't think they're going to have a problem with Florida. So right there, you sit there and go, all right, that's where the seesaw happens. It's either 3-3 or they're 4-2, and they either take the turn for the better at Texas A&M, or they fall into that. Oh, that's what we expected from Florida, right there at Texas A&M.
I think the A&M game is pivotal for momentum, you know, to keep them going. But yeah, you can't. Miami's one of those games I feel like they're going to be expected to win, given Lagway's health is 100%.
Yeah,
I think. But A&M, that's a hard place to play. Elko is going to have them boys ready.
Yeah,
that man is a good coach. I liked what he did last year. He looked good. A&M was like brought from the brink, so to speak, because everybody thought the sky was falling when Jimbo left. They were going to have to completely start over. But Jimbo had a nice, decent roster in place, and they didn't lose a lot. They did, but a lot stayed as well. And that's the part you don't hear about. It's just you hear about, the ship sinking, rats abandoning a sinking ship, whatever you want to say.
Elko, man. Elko brought discipline to Texas A&M.
He held it together.
Yeah.
He held it together. I'm really impressed.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think this is a game that when you look at Florida, it's like if they get Long Island, I'm saying Long Island so much tonight, more than I ever thought I would. South Florida.
One night, yep.
Right? I'm going to go look them up, man. I don't know their colors. I don't know their mascot, nothing.
I don't know anything about them either.
South Florida, before we end this podcast tonight, I'm going to be able to tell you what they are. Long Island, South Florida. Let's say they lose to Baton Rouge, to LSU in Baton Rouge. They're 2-1. They beat Miami 3-1. They're 3-2 versus Texas. This is where they either become mediocre or they move into into going, all right, this is possible, because if they beat A&M, then they sit there at 4-4. Let's see, 2 wins, 3-1, 3-1, they're 4-2. They play Mississippi State. They could be 5-2. You get Georgia, that may be a loss, 4-3. But then you got Kentucky, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida State, all winnable games. So this is where your 9-3 gets to chime in, and Florida either becomes that playoff type team or they're 8-4. 8-4 will be good for Florida this year. They had a tough schedule, but Florida is known to play well towards the end of the year, the last few years, and so they can get past. I think to Texas A&M is going to be crucial for them.
Again, Lagway doesn't get hurt last year. We might be having a whole different conversation about Georgia last year.
Yep. No, I 100% agree.
They were in that game.
They can't. No Georgia fan can say they weren't like. I mean, we didn't want to see the kid get hurt, but we were like,
never. I never want to see anybody get hurt. No.
Right.
No.
We were like,
not.
Thank God, because right now we look a little mediocre right now.
That was the only reason we won that game.
100%. I don't even know if he was mediocre or he just. Or we were mediocre. Or he was just he was good. I mean, I know
he was having a good game.
Yeah.
But Georgia's season was but we can talk about that another time.
It's up and down, bro. It's up and down, but hopefully we can, when we start looking at Georgia and previewing them for the year, we can look at like what we can expect from that. But Texas A&M, but I struggled, man. I wanted to pick Miami. Georgia, let's do Georgia at the end. Kentucky, I got Vanderbilt. It's an easy one, man. I got Vandy because this might be the only one they can get.
Listen, Vandy shocked the world last year, and nothing makes me happier as a team that beats up on Vandy. Vandy has never been a real big threat. Georgia has, lost to Vandy. We did get
Right.
upset by Vandy in the Jeff Franklin days. And they play good football now. Clark Lee's got them boys playing really good. They're not the guaranteed W for all teams anymore. Like,
Right.
when you're checking your schedule, you're going W, 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 maybe an L, W, W. You can't do that for Vandy anymore.
Right. Right. I mean, my hot take was Clark Lee does good at Vandy this year. I personally, if I'm him, I take a job. I think he could
That's
probably.
what everybody does, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Kentucky could be open. I think Arkansas could be open.
Because,
Florida,
if you can win there,
Oklahoma. I mean,
you can win anywhere, right?
uh,
That's what they think. That's what
Clark
they say.
Lee would win at any of those schools I just said. Clark Lee would win at Kentucky. I think in order of where he would win at right now would be if Oklahoma was available, he could win there. I think he could win at Arkansas. I think he could win. Kentucky might be a little bit of a struggle still, but
I
definitely
think if
Florida.
Oklahoma, I got a scenario for you. Okay,
Uh-huh.
Oklahoma barely 500 this year.
I only
Okay,
have him over and under's 5.5 for him is all I have.
Kentucky, one SEC win maybe this year. Okay, they fire Stoops. Does Oklahoma fire Venables? Does Stoops want to go to Oklahoma to follow in his brother's footsteps? Does he want that? Does he want that smoke?
When have you ever seen an SEC coach that didn't win a game in the SEC with a SEC school immediately take over? Oklahoma's never going to do that, no matter what his reputation is, because it's so precious now. That NIL money being eaten up by coaches' money is so precious. I love that ain't even a hot take, man. That's like a Netflix series right there. Next thing you know, you add, I don't want to. Let's stop it. I don't want to wish any bad on any of these coaches. But
I know. I'm not
you have
either.
some kind of series behind them where not only their coaching, carousel happens, but their life uproots, and next thing you know, it's just like that's kind of what it is. I mean,
that just popped in my head. Every time I think of Oklahoma, I can't think of Oklahoma without thinking of A. Stoops. Being the coach. It's still hard to believe that Bob just stepped down when he had lots of years left in him, I think.
Yeah. LSU. The game I have for LSU is Ole Miss and Oxford. I picked this one because I don't think Kelly and Kiffin like each other. I don't really think they like each other. I think they're jab each other.
Ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
I know Lane Kiffin's laid back approach just irks Brian Kelly's soul.
Right.
It does, because they are two completely different types of people.
Totally agree with you.
I totally see that. Oh my God.
And this would be like this. You don't, because here's my thing, man. LSU is, and a lot of people have LSU. I mean, you got, like I said, I'm gonna keep going back to this. Go grab the hot take on LSU, because Brian Kelly, this has got to be his year. He went out. He's got Nussmeier again. Nussmeier's picked to go very high in the NFL draft. One of the better, if not the best quarterback in the SEC this year. One of the top quarterbacks in all of college football. He's got the wide receiver core. He's got a really great defense this year. He's got Whit Weeks. What's going to happen with Harold Perkins? Where they're going to put him? Is he going to blast off? I think Whit Weeks is one of the best linebackers in the SEC. This has to be. There's some questions at O-line, but this has to be Brian Kelly's year. They gave him some money. He put in some of his money. Like, brother went into his bank account and said, "I got to win."
That's respect. That's respectable. I like that. That's good.
But he's got to win, man. Like, he's got to win.
Oh my God.
This is it for him. But the thing is, man, he's got Clemson. Big game against Clemson. I'm gonna, no offense, I'm gonna kind of low key root for LSU in this one, but Clemson, Louisiana Tech, Florida in Baton Rouge, Southeast Louisiana, and then there it is, right? I think the reason why this is important is because I think those 4 games are winnable, right? And if they can win that game in Oxford, they have a bye. And then every game that's important is now in Baton Rouge. After that, you got South Carolina, which is going to be a good game, but it's going to be in Baton Rouge. And Baton Rouge is just different, man. Tiger Stadium is just different, man.
At night, especially. Yep.
You go to Nashville for Vanderbilt, you get Texas A&M and Baton Rouge. You get Alabama. Oh, I take that back. Alabama is in Tuscaloosa. but that's why I think for LSU, 10-2, 9-3, 9-3 is going to be close to getting them in, man. But I don't know.
It's going to be hard to make the playoff with 9-3. I think
they did say strength of schedule was gonna be a player this year, unlike a lot of years. But
is it though?
They say what they want to, man. But it's all. I mean, the one big change that me and Richman talked about was it will be 1 through 12 this year. They will no longer be, top four, top. If you won the conference, you get the top 4 seats. It's 1 through 12 regardless.
I'm glad they changed it up.
Yeah, it's just going to make the conference championships a moot point. I mean, if I'm Georgia, I'm like, do you really care to play? I mean, it's Kirby, right? But do you really care to play for the SEC championship? It didn't bode well for us last year.
Yeah.
But the Kiffin LSU convo is hilarious, man. Brian Kelly and Kiffin, man, you're right.
They're
night totally
and day in their approach to the game.
100%, man. 100%. Mississippi State. This one's kind of easy. I had to just pick a team I thought in their schedule where they would get a win. This is another team that I don't know if they get an SEC win this year. When you look at Mississippi State, you look at their schedule. Southern Miss, Arizona State, Alcorn, Northern Illinois. I'm sure there's a couple wins in there that are non-SEC games. Tennessee and Starkville. You don't really know what Tennessee's going to be holding with Aguilar and some of the pieces that they got to put together without Nico. And
lost a lot on defense last year too.
A lot on defense, a lot on offense. Wide receiver core is a little bit demise with Brew McCoy leaving and Squirrel White going to Florida State.
Squirrel.
Squirrel went to.
Love that name. Love that name.
Yeah, man. Florida, Texas, Arkansas, Georgia, Missouri, Ole Miss. Where do you get a win there? So I just went with Arkansas because they could be head coach Bobby Petrino there at that point in time. So don't really need to spend a lot of time on Mississippi State because I know they're going to struggle this year. They're going to struggle, and I don't think Lebby. Is. I don't know. Doesn't look good for Lebby, but I don't know why they would get rid of him because I don't know anybody right now who would just be really high on getting that job right now. NIL is really.
Yeah, I know exactly. Who's going to come in and turn that around?
Yeah, Lebby's a good coach.
Mississippi State is like a Vandy job. It's a job that you go to prove yourself at.
Mm-hmm.
You can win there, get 7 or 8 wins a season, a couple years in a row, then boom, other jobs open up for you.
100%.
Just like Vandy, because Vandy's not one of those schools. Oh, he's winning at Vandy. Oh my God, playing at that school with that little support, against the big boys in the SEC, which is supposedly the best conference in football. If you can get it done there, you can get it done anywhere.
100%. Oh, I shook the camera. 100%, man. I agree with you. I just don't know who would take it. I think they give him another year because, the rebuild for Mississippi State in the bind they're in is like a 4-year play. There will come a time, but I don't know if it's next year. Missouri's. We're going to preview all these teams, but Missouri's a weird team this year. Bo Perbula from Penn State. I like this defense. This defense has a lot of Georgia football players on this defense.
Yes,
I just don't know what the offense is going to do this year. But saying all that, I got Missouri with this weak schedule, this extremely weak schedule, and very
that they were blessed with 2 years in a row.
Yeah, this very home-oriented schedule. I got this South Carolina game, as sneaky to me because it's at home. It's right there in the middle. It's a really good game for them to go, all right, if I can get South Carolina, I go into a bye week, and then I get Alabama at home, and I'm undefeated. That bodes well for Missouri because if let's say they even lose to Alabama, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, and Arkansas are all beatable. So one of my hot takes is that Missouri actually goes 10-2 this year and could possibly, even with a lackluster offense and a Bo Perbula who hasn't really made an appearance in the SEC yet, we don't know what he can do. Blake Baker, who as an SEC offensive coordinator took a step back from Missouri last year, I still think they can win 10 games with this terrible, terrible schedule. And that's not terrible as in bad. It's like,
no, it's unbelievable that they've got such a cakewalk 2 years in a row. Oh.
It's almost like a JV schedule. It's like,
is this the JV schedule? About Georgia's schedule anymore. Like Missouri is the new Georgia as far as that goes, because people used to beat us up talk about how easy our schedule was before last year, and then we went from having the easiest schedule, so-called easiest schedule in football, to the one of the toughest, if not the toughest.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
so, but South Carolina's beating them. I'm sorry.
I like South Carolina. I like Lenore Sellers, but South Carolina got a lot to replace. We'll preview him. I love Lenore Sellers, man. Like,
Me too.
he's definitely your NCAA 2026 or whatever. He's your quarterback you're going to want to pick because he's going to be exciting.
I can't believe, he should have been on that picture, that cover, that's out on PlayStation now. Pre-order this, and they have the cover. Kirby's there, Harry's there, Harry Dog is there,
looking like a boss. Kirby's there.
Ryan Day's coming in off the side with his head like this, like, "Ooh, look at me, look at me, look at me."
Right? Exactly. Exactly. It's crazy.
Him and Brian Kelly.
Let's hop to Oklahoma, man. Oklahoma, man. The 10-second preview is Venables went out, got him an OC from Washington State, got John Mateer from Washington State. These guys broke records in the Pac-12. Remember, the Pac-12 had three teams. Was it three teams last year? This isn't the Pac-12. Yeah. This is the SEC. I wish we could have a preview year of what this offense could look like before I make this pick. But from all statistical references from Washington State, this should be a much improved offense. The defense is Brent Venables' defense, who already had a really great year last year, and they returned a lot of those pieces on defense. So you would hope that if Oklahoma can fix some offensive things, they're going to be a complete team. However, they have this thing called a schedule, and it is daunting. You got Michigan coming to Norman. You got Auburn in Norman. You got Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, LSU. Holy cow, dude. It's an exact reverse from Missouri. I mean, you got all three. The only person you don't got is Georgia on there, and you ducked them because they were they were going to be an out of conference game for you before you joined the SEC. So the scary thing was is if they would have let it alone, you'd have had Georgia on there as well. But for me, the Tennessee game in Knoxville, and I say that because I think in order for Oklahoma possibly to become bowl eligible, I think I had to pick a game to go which one's winnable. Missouri could be in Norman. I don't know. That's a toss-up as well. It depends on what Missouri's doing. But when I look at that game, I just thought Joey Aguilar, Tennessee, it's in Knoxville, but they're going to need that one because they have Alabama, Missouri, LSU at the end of the year. So if they're going to do anything that they want to do and save Brent Venables' job, you're not going to do it in the last 3 games of the year. I think those 3 last games are L's. And so I think the last game you have on the list to try to bode well for your bowl talks, because I think you got wins at, I think Illinois State's a win, Temple's a win, Kent State's a win. It just gets weird, man. If you call the Tennessee game a win, I mean, I got them at 5.5, but it's hard to find the other game and a half. Maybe they get Auburn at Auburn, but it's at Auburn. You got Kansas. I'm not even including Michigan. I would think some people would say they'll get Michigan in Norman because, I don't know. I think maybe Michigan will take a step back because they don't have Harbaugh and they're cheating and all the other stuff. And they got to.
Oh my God, I know.
So
Harbaugh knew what he was doing when he bounced last year.
Oh yeah, man, he couldn't cheat.
He saw the storm on the horizon.
Yeah, he couldn't cheat anymore. South Carolina, man. We just talked about South Carolina. I love Lenore Sellers, but I think Alabama is going to be the game in Columbia. Why? Because you could possibly see South Carolina with only 1 loss coming into with Alabama coming into Columbia that time. If they do lose one, it will be to. If they lose another, it will either be to Virginia Tech, which I don't think will happen, or an Oklahoma. So that's a pivotal game because if South Carolina is going to make a playoff, which I don't have, I have South Carolina just barely not getting in again this year. I have them as losing to Missouri because it's in Columbia. I have them losing to Bama, LSU, Ole Miss, and I don't think they can get it done at Clemson. There's their 5th loss. So I got them at 7 and 5. I don't think they're an
Where's the Ole
8-4
Miss
team.
game?
Ole Miss game is in Oxford.
Yeah.
So tough one, man.
Also depends on what Ole Miss looks like this year.
Yeah, and I mean, they're young, man. They just sent 20 players into the NFL, and they had, in my opinion, one of the best teams Ole Miss has ever had last year, and they went 5-3 in the SEC and wet the bed at the end of the year.
We found out.
Yeah, they were ready for us, but for the rest
of
the
SEC,
the
hardest
they
game
weren't.
to watch all year. That was the toughest game to watch, except for the first quarter at the Bama game, because I was sitting here with no power during a hurricane watching that game on my little tablet, and I turned it off after the first quarter, and then I called a text message, like an ESPN alert, Georgia tied, Alabama or whatever. And I'm like, what? Is that from last year? Like, how old is that, man? And then I turn it on, and oh my God, it's a ball game.
It's crazy, man. That's crazy. Tennessee, man. Easy one here for me in Tennessee. Tennessee is I got to see Tennessee now. No Nico. We talked about it. Lost a lot in the receiving core. Dylan Sampson gone. They got to replace some line. They got to replace some defense. Alabama. I mean, Atlanta got the best of their defense and the best of Georgia's defense. That is. If Atlanta's not good on defense this year, something's wrong. Because
with Raheem Morris as a good coach, man, yeah, their defense should be legit this year. Their pass rush should be not maybe fixed this year. It might take a year, for those two boys to settle in and get their footing and, figure it all out, because the NFL's different. It's faster.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's faster. So
I totally agree.
I hope they do.
I have Arkansas and Knoxville, and I'll tell you why. Syracuse is going to feel like an SEC game right out of the box. I mean, Fran Brown is going to have those boys ready to play on a neutral site.
They will be.
East Tennessee State University is going to be a win. Georgia and Knoxville is going to be a tough loss. UAB should be a win. Mississippi State should be a win. And then here we are, right? We got Tennessee with one loss, and you got Arkansas coming to Knoxville. And if you can get Arkansas, then what happens if you can, uphold? You might get a loss at Alabama. That's your second loss. You win against Kentucky. You beat Oklahoma because it's in Knoxville. I mean, then you just look ahead, and you got to beat Florida. And next thing you know, Tennessee's schedule has gotten them into the college football playoff. So I think that's why Arkansas is so important, because right there is when it starts. If they trip right there, then they've added a loss that, in my opinion, you're going to have one with Alabama, and then you got a toss up with Oklahoma or Florida, maybe even Vanderbilt for another one in there, and that puts you that 8-4 third tier that won't make the playoffs. But we really don't even know what Joey Aguilar is going to be about this year. This is definitely some unanswered things. But what do you think? Any game that jumps out to you? I struggled too with that Oklahoma game. I'm sorry, the Florida game right before Vanderbilt. But it was so late in the season that I figured by then it would kind of be established where Tennessee was going to land.
No, I agree with the Arkansas. But, Heupel's one of those guys that I believe in my heart that he's just coaching until another job opens up. I think he's just existing at Tennessee. I think he's just existing at Tennessee. I think he's waiting on that Oklahoma job to open up.
Yeah.
And I know I said that earlier with Stoops, and I don't have some sort of weird thing for Oklahoma. I don't want to see them be good. Like, I don't want to see them not be good, but you know what I mean.
Right.
But I think Heupel, that's where he played his college football, and I think, he wants to go back and coach at his alma mater. Like, why wouldn't he? Right. And I think he might just be waiting on that job to open up, and then he'll be right out of Tennessee.
That's interesting. That's an interesting take, because I thought, as I call him, Bobby in Orange would Bobby in Orange would be there, man. And interesting take there on Oklahoma. And I mean,
he's an Oklahoma boy,
and no, I mean, you're not wrong.
And he was not bad either. He was a good quarterback.
Yeah, had a little bit less weight on him, but back then
a lot less.
Don't we all though? Less. Probably.
Dude, speaking of Bobby, oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to derail the conversation, but King of the Hill is being revamped. Like they're re-released, like it's coming back out, and they have released the new opening sequence for King of the Hill, and Bobby's all grown up. Like he's a man now. He's not a little boy. And now that comparison just makes me laugh so much harder whenever you say that because he looks so much more like
It
him now.
it could be hypo, man. Instead of Bobby, it
It
could be
could
hypo.
be. I swear to God, it could be.
Crazy.
That's so funny. Sorry, I didn't mean. I had to. My bad.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
Let's continue.
Texas, man. I think Texas. A lot of people got Texas and Georgia picked to finish one or two. I know Athlon Sports has Texas winning the SEC and winning the national championship, but losing to Georgia in Athens, and I guess maybe winning the SEC championship, and then maybe meeting up. They haven't picked to play Georgia 3 times this year too. So for me, Texas, it's Florida and Gainesville. I think it's one of their toughest road games besides Georgia. That if Texas were to give that game up, it could get interesting because we all know Texas has, once again, it just kills me, man. Like this red carpet that the SEC has rolled out for Texas, right? I mean, you got this
I know.
40 million, you got 30. The rumor is $30 to $40 million roster, and then to go along with it, you have this schedule, right?
Took Ohio State $21 million, $22 million to win the Natty last year. That's how much a Natty is worth, I think.
Well,
About
it's
22, 23 mil.
Texas is up the stakes. They're willing to pay between 30 and 40 million because that's what I'm hearing. There's a bunch of teams that have spent well into the 30 millions that I understand. Ohio State might be one of them. I know LSU might be one of them. Obviously, our friends here at Texas. And I'm sure people, when they hear this, are going to be like, well, what Georgia spend? I don't really know, but it ain't $30 million, bro. I can tell you that much.
I guarantee you it ain't $30 million.
No. We talked about this all the time. Georgia gets to spend less money because they produce and develop players. And so players
that's
know
attractive
that.
to players.
Right.
You know, people
they
want
know
to
their
go to the
money's
next
not
level
going to
and
stop.
be ready for the next level.
Yeah, and they know their money's not going to stop in college.
Yep.
Some of these players, their money's like, well, you better get it in college because you're not ready for the NFL.
Not if you go to Georgia.
Right. And so
Or
I'm
the
willing to
SEC,
take.
playing in the SEC.
Yeah. I mean, look at KJ Bolden, man. KJ Bolden had the opportunity to take way more money last year. He's making what he needs this year, and he will make well into more of what he needs when he gets in the NFL. KJ Bolden's going to be a great player in the secondary for somebody in the NFL. He's going to be great. I think he's going to be great this year. This is going to be a coming out party for KJ this year. I'm excited to see what he does.
Me too.
I think it's going to be like Malachi Starks 5.0 type stuff, man.
Oh my God.
I'm excited to see KJ. Texas A&M. Oh, yeah, Texas, Florida, and Gainesville. Why? Because if you lose to Florida and Gainesville, you still got Georgia and Athens, and you still got Texas A&M rivalry game. And 9-3 Texas, man, will not be the season they wanted. That doesn't get them to the SEC championship. They may get them into the playoff, but that's why I think that Florida game is very important. Is because I don't think they have the room to drop that game right there. And
no, I agree. And
that Florida will have
Lagway's
5 games
too.
Yeah, Florida will have 5 games under their belt too.
Yep.
That'll be an interesting game, man. Texas going to the Swamp.
Yeah, there's some really good football this year, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree. A&M. I think I just reversed. No, I didn't reverse it. For A&M,
No, we had Oklahoma for Auburn.
Yeah, I had Auburn in College Station. For some of the same reasons, man. The beginning of the year for me is where the trips are going to happen.
Yep.
You know, you look at Texas A&M having to play Notre Dame, get a bye, and then you get Auburn in College Station. And my thing is you still have Florida, LSU, Missouri, South Carolina, Texas. I just think, man, if you lose that game right there, Texas really has, Elko has 1 year of this, so I'm not saying it's a habit, but they really did not finish last year, right? And they're breaking in this quarterback, Marcel Reed. It's going to be his first full year under the helm. Really good offensive line. They got some questions on defense this year. This is not your average Texas A&M defense. They got some holes to fill. And so I think if they lose this game, it could be tricky for them. And I like Auburn this year, right? Is there another game you see on their fish that could be a little trickier? I know I battle with LSU too in Baton Rouge because, once again, if you win that game or you lose that game, a lot can be said because you got Missouri, South Carolina, Samford, Texas, and to me, that could tell the tape of whether you get in the playoff or not, with hopefully Texas being your only up in the air game. But I went with Auburn.
I don't think I got faith that they're going to handle Missouri. That Auburn game will be a tough one. That's Auburn is going to have a good year this year, I believe. I mean, Hugh Freeze has to have a good year this year.
Yeah.
And there's no excuse. They got him a quarterback. They got him, he's got a really good wide receiving core, possibly the best wide receiver in the SEC, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I watched this man play a lot last year. My wife's a huge Auburn fan, so I was watching all their games. He's good. He's legit.
Cam Coleman's good, man. Yeah, I agree.
I know I know we're circling back around, and I'm sorry, but
no, nobody's sorry. I agree with you, man. I think Cam Coleman's going to be Athlon Sports has Cam Coleman as one of the top 5 wide receivers in the country.
Yeah,
and there's a reason. That's not in the SEC. That's in the country.
If Jackson Arnold can get him the ball, they're going to win some games.
If he doesn't get him the ball, Deuce Knight's going to be right on his heels. It's going
my God,
to take a lot to keep him.
I hate that about Hugh Freeze. That man will play 2 quarterbacks, and he will live and die by it. Because he did last year.
Yeah.
And I had to listen to my poor wife just, oh my God.
Yeah, man. No, I get it. And then finally, before Georgia, so Vanderbilt, pretty easy. I got South Carolina and Columbia. This might as well be a rivalry to me, man.
I think so.
I mean, it might as well be. I think when you look at where South Carolina's positioned, you got a bye week, and you got Missouri and Columbia, and then you got South Carolina there. I just think I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. You got South Carolina positioned 3rd game of the year for Vanderbilt. My thing is if Vanderbilt beats South Carolina there, look at their schedule right there. Oh, I know exactly why I picked this game. Look at how interesting this is to go into this whole Pavia Ryan Williams debacle right here. I think Charleston Southern could be a win for Vanderbilt. Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. I don't know about Virginia Tech. It could be tough, but maybe it's a win. Let's just say it is.
Interesting, man. We'll see.
Right. South Carolina. Don't know. Maybe let's call it a win. Georgia State, Utah State. So is this Vanderbilt team, do they have the opportunity to be undefeated when they go into Tuscaloosa? That's interesting.
That'd be the game of the week. Game day will be there. Watch.
Game day would be with Pavia, the ninth year Diego Pavia versus Alabama and Kalen DeBoer, who might be trying to save his, I don't know. But that's why I picked that game, was because they could be going into Tuscaloosa undefeated. However, right after that, you got LSU, Missouri, Texas, Auburn, and Tennessee. So if you don't win that one, it's either you're undefeated, right? If you're undefeated going into Alabama, and you maybe win that one off hype, and then the rest of your road is a gauntlet. But I think
Alabama's going to be looking to smash Vandy next year.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Especially after the smack talking that Ryan Williams did on whose podcast was that? It's our boy from geez, man.
Was that SEC podcast? Was that
no. He was with he was a Bucks coach. He was with the Raiders. John Gruden, man. Yeah, he was on Gruden's podcast, and they asked him, Gruden picked at Williams about that game, about what are you going to do to them this year, and he was like, we're gonna smack him like something with smack him or smash him with a hammer, and then Pavia clapped back on Instagram. So
that tells you that loss is still living rent free in their brain.
Stinging. I mean, bro, the clock's hanging from a. I mean, do we need to talk about this? The clock's hanging from a.
Even Saban went out of his way to mention it and make fun of him. Like, he talked smack. That's why they lost. Old GOAT, put the juju out there and gave them the bulletin board material they need, the rat poison. Whatever he liked to say. Can't believe that man won. How many Emmys did he win? An Emmy for his Game Day performance last year. That man just stay winning.
Yep. Stay winning, man. Let's do Georgia, man. I'll tell you what. You can tell me, is yours the same as mine?
I 114% agree with this game right here.
Yeah. this game, so, Marshall, Austin P, Tennessee, Knoxville, Alabama and Athens, Kentucky and Athens. And here we go. We got Ole Miss, Florida, Mississippi State, Texas. And right before that is an away game in Auburn, right?
One of the hardest places to win
Yeah.
on the road in the SEC.
So I think this is definitely trap game. I know it's rivalry type thing, but I think it's a trap game because they moved this game to the middle of the year or the beginning of the year. It was actually a little farther up 2 years ago I think it was, but
It was at the end of September, I think, last year,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Or the year before.
I think it was end of September, 1st of October. No, end of September. But yeah, I think this is 100% trap game, whatever you want to call it. Back in Auburn, we don't know if by this time is Auburn clicking on all four cylinders. Is Georgia clicking on all four cylinders?
We better be.
Yeah, what
We
team?
better
What
be.
is what's going to be happening right here? And we have a lot of home games this year, but it's not against Auburn. And so, if there's one game that can either do one or two things, number one, rejuvenate this team from a possible, maybe rejuvenate them from a loss to an Oklahoma or Texas A&M or both, or a Baylor at the beginning of the year. If there's something that can rejuvenate this team, that would be getting a home win against Georgia for Hugh Freeze. Or if this is a team that comes in and they have now they've beaten all those teams, they're 5-0, playing with and they have a bye. I mean, that's the thing too, is Auburn has a bye before Georgia plays them.
Of course they do.
And then Georgia does not.
They're not the only team that has a bye before us. Look at it. Look, check it out. It's like they want us to fail.
Yeah.
And I'm not just a Georgia fan being salty, okay? But look at it.
Yeah.
Like, they talked about this on Feinbaum the other day, and it's crazy. There's Alabama has a bye week before us. Texas has a bye week before. What the heck? What's going on?
Auburn's got a bye week before us. I mean, that's
nuts,
tricky
dude.
Crap, dude.
That's crazy. That's crazy. All these teams going to be fresh and have an extra week of game plan for us before we play them.
Well, I will say we get a bye before Alabama, but we don't get it before Florida, but we don't get it before Auburn, and we kind of get a bye before Texas. We got Mississippi State, although Mississippi State pissed us off last year before Texas last year.
Yeah,
it was a lot closer than we. That was probably one of the if you had to go back to a week that I was the most pissed off last year at our play, it had to be that week because we were. We came on the show and we're hoping and praying to God, and I guess we were because we went and beat Texas on the road. But we're hoping and praying to God that we were looking ahead at Texas, because if that's what we're bringing into Austin, this ain't going to be good. And Texas is going to have a coming out party in the SEC to prove it. And so
everybody wanted them to. Good Lord, game day.
Yeah.
Everybody, the nation.
Oh, yeah.
SEC nation, I mean, like everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody had us doomed to fail.
I totally agree. Totally agree. All right. Well, that was fun, man. Let's do a little final take. I always like to throw a little trick question out there. I will throw it out there. Let's do a surprise team this year in the since we're covering SEC summer hot takes. Surprise team for you in the SEC, and
to do good or to flop.
Surprise game can be either. Like you surprise because they do good, or you think they're not going to live up to the hype. And then the second question will be, what do you think will be the number one problem for Georgia coming into? We got a lot of things that a lot of fans are going to talk about, right? And we've done some. I feel like we've done some recruiting. We've done some portal work. We may have just answered some questions in some areas that we didn't have last year, whether it be stopping the run or blocking or a little bit more team player at the quarterback position, not giving up big plays, run game, all those things. What do you think is going to be the number one thing that we're still going to be scratching our head about and hoping for before we open up against Marshall? So first question is who's your SEC team that you think is going to shock you, whether it's losing more games than expected or winning more games than expected?
I've got one for both. I've got an overachiever and an underachiever.
Okay. I like that better.
My overachiever is going to be Auburn.
Okay.
Because I'm telling you, man, and I come in high. There's always a couple of players that I'm really high on at the beginning of every year that aren't Georgia players, by the way. Just want to put that out there. Georgia's not the only team I think about. But Cam Coleman is going to do some great things on the Plains this year for those boys, assuming that their quarterback can get him the ball. And if he can't, then they'll find somebody who can. He's one of those type of guys, I feel like.
Yeah.
That it matters who's throwing him the ball. It always helps. But that man will make plays if he needs to. He'll find a way to make a play. And okay, Texas is my flop team. They're going to be around, okay? They're going to hang around. But I'm not really big on Arch Manning. I'm not as big on him as everyone else is. And I'm not salty he didn't come to Georgia. Could care less that he didn't. Actually kind of glad that Dog and Pony show did not come to Georgia. Okay? We don't need distractions. And Kirby doesn't like distractions. And oh my God, big distraction. Okay? So I've got them maybe losing 4 this year.
Hold on to those 4 because when we preview them, I want to know who they are because
we'll talk all about it.
That's interesting because I can see what I think they are. Could be Ohio State, could be obviously Georgia, could be Texas A&M, and maybe could be, I don't know, Florida in Gainesville. Who knows?
Florida is definitely one of them.
Yeah. Got to have DJ
Lagway 100%. Exactly. Assuming he's 100%.
Yeah. Middle of the year. Let's hope. I mean, I don't know what this injury is. I haven't had.
I don't either, but it's got me nervous for Florida. You know, never thought I'd ever say those words. Wow.
Yeah, I agree.
But you know what I mean.
I totally agree. I will just name what I think. I just name one that I think will be a shocker to me in that I think the one that sticks out the most for me is going to be Oklahoma. I think they've done so much to improve their offense. I think the defense will be fine, but I think the saving grace for Venables will be the offense. They went and snagged the Washington State OC. We got to see how that works in the SEC. John Mateer, a lot of talk about John Mateer. He comes in as they're rating him as high as a top 3 quarterback behind Nussmeier and Arch in the SEC. And they got the running back from Cal. Offensive line plays good. They got some receivers.
That dude from Cal, I was hoping Georgia would have got him.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he was too big of a fish in the NIL pond. I feel like Georgia got good depth, though.
I agree. I just think that the schedule is going to be too much for them. If they had that Missouri or Ole Miss or Texas schedule, maybe. But the reason they're going to be underperforming is just because of the schedule, man. And I don't know if it doesn't connect, man, it could be bad for Venables if it doesn't connect because this is a tough schedule that I got them 5.5 over and under, and I don't know where the other 1.5 is. It's going to have to be a game that we didn't see coming because this offense was better than advertised, or it was, the defense was even better than advertised. It's going to be good, but Oklahoma's that team that everybody I think is going. It's going to be much improved, but it's just not going to be able to thrive because of the.
I'm telling you, man, if you don't think that Oklahoma's not had contact with Heupel, I think you're naive.
It's interesting. That's a hot take, man, to think that Heupel would go back to Oklahoma.
If Tennessee wets the bed this year, underperforms, so does Oklahoma. Oklahoma, Venerable does just bad enough for them to have an excuse to fire him. Okay?
Yeah.
And Heupel's sitting there, unable to get over the hump at Tennessee.
Yeah.
Telling you, it could happen.
Yeah. Wild take.
And I love conspiracies. I love conspiracies.
My number one thing I think we'll still be scratching our head over when we step on the field for Marshall. I think nobody can look past the fact of can we get our offensive line intact? I think we have answered the questions in the wide receiver room. I think we've answered the questions with a great recruiting class. I think we've answered the questions with, and we're going to preview all this, but Jordan Hall could be a really fascinating defensive lineman this year for Georgia if he stays healthy. It could take on a lot of problems, added with a lot of things coming back and a lot of pieces around him. And I think the running back room is incredible. I think Gunner's going to be fine. It's just all going to stem around can Seals get this offensive line? And I know that people believe in them. I mean, there's still people that have our offensive line and our running backs ranked in the top 10 in the country still. So there's obviously
they're 4 or 5 star guys.
Yeah,
they got talent.
Yeah,
just got to put it together.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, Fish, this was fun, man. It was fun to get back together. SEC Summer Hot Takes Part 2. We'll be doing this all summer, but next week we will start our SEC Summer Preview, where we will start with, I don't know, we may start with Alabama. Who knows? We may do an alphabetical order, or we may do
let's mix it up.
Yeah, mix it up.
Let's flip let's assign numbers and draw them out of a hat.
That'd be interesting. Maybe really, I don't know how we're going to be prepared every time, but I'll do my best.
I know. Just trying to make your job as hard as I possibly can.
No, man, you're good, man. Hey, always fun, man. If you guys have not done so, I once again will tell you, go and thanks everybody for joining us on TikTok tonight. I see you over there, Leo. We had some people join. Leo, thanks for joining. Had a couple other people that I will give a shout out to once I figure out who came in and who did not. I'll do a better job of that. Also, if you haven't done so, go follow us on TikTok, trying to get to 10,000 followers. Dogs Down South on TikTok, Dogs Down South on YouTube, trying to get to 1,000 followers, as well as Facebook and most every platform out there. If you don't know, 24 hours later, we will be on Apple Podcasts, Dogs Down South, and really soon Spotify. We're coming your way, Spotify. So everybody go ahead.
Sorry. I want to mention this before we get off.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been on in a while, and this is old news, I know, but this is Coach Corso's last game day. And I am in my feelings about that. College football will not be the same without that man.
Yeah.
I know he's just been a shell of himself the past couple of seasons, sitting there, and God bless Kirk Herbstreit for helping him out. I might not agree with everything he says, but he is awesome for sitting there and helping coach through these last few years. Much respect to him, and definitely going to miss me some Coach Corso.
I agree, man.
Game day will not look the same. It will not be the same. He's been there since early 90s, when we were, all up in it. Game day was the only show on Saturday. There was no Big Noon. There was no SEC Nation. Yeah. It was game day.
You mean Pat McAfee and his shirt off can't replace Corso? Just kidding. No way.
Man, get out of here with that.
No way he can, man. Hey, we're pushing in. We said 45. We're pushing to an hour and a half. But that's all good, man. It's good stuff. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Yeah, man. Fish is always fun, man. Thanks, everyone. And you guys have a great night. And as always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
There we go.